Aaron and John had always wanted to make new friends in the neighborhood, so when another couple moved in right by them, they got their hopes up. Unfortunately for the couple, they had no idea who their new neighbors were. They had a secret that no one knew about, but it was too late. The couple was going to find out a secret about their neighbors that would not only change their lives, but everyone else in the neighborhood. Just a few days after the neighbors moved in, the couple heard their doorbell ring. When they opened, they saw a boy named Alex standing in the doorway. He told them that he was their son. He wanted to get to know some new people. Aaron and John just smiled. It was what they were hoping for. Although a little timid, he seemed to just want new friends. But it didn't stop there. The routine continued, and Alex started to come to their house daily. It was a strange habit, to say the least. But they had no idea what the truth held. Every afternoon, Alex would come to their house and tell them all about himself. Soon he opened up about himself as they played board games. Alex told them that he was grateful for the kindness that the couple had shown him. He didn't have anyone else to spend the time with anyway. Aaron and John enjoyed the boys' company, but as time went on, they started to wonder what he was keeping from them. Little did they know he was hiding a big secret. The routine went from him visiting the couple in the afternoon to coming by directly after school. He wouldn't even drop his bag off at his own house. Why was he avoiding his own house? The couple loved his company, but why was he neglecting his own family to see them? Were they just not interested in spending time with their son? Aaron didn't want to pass judgment, but she wanted to know what was going on. Alex never got any phone calls from his parents, so maybe they really didn't mind him being away from them for such long periods. Alex would spend hours with Aaron and Jones in the afternoon, and when it came time for him to go home, he would be reluctant to leave. Aaron explained that he could spend all of his time there. Alex's demeanor seemed to change completely when he had to head home. He'd go from smiling to bubbly to sad and anxious. There was definitely something going on. Aaron always made sure Alex knew that he could come back any time, where they would make some cookies for him. He would smile at her reassuring words. He seemed enthusiastic at the prospect of coming over and baking with them. Aaron couldn't believe the boys' excitement. Aaron, concerned for Alex, decided to watch out the window as he walked to his home just next to theirs. He opened the front door and turned on the lights. Was nobody else home? The rest of the house was dark and quiet. It seemed that Alex really might have been alone. Did his parents work late every day? As the couple prepared for bed that night, Aaron told John about what she had seen. She wanted to know what Alex's situation really was like. "John, I just feel like there's something going on. That poor boy is coming here for a reason. He must be lonely. But where are his parents?" she whispered to John in their bed. John, on the other hand, shook his head. "Don't jump to conclusions. If anything's wrong, I'm sure he'll tell us about it." Aaron couldn't shake off the feeling of unease that gnawed at her insides. She tossed and turned, her mind racing with thoughts of Alex and his parents. Despite John's reassurances, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was indeed amiss. The next morning, Aaron decided to confront Alex about his parents' absence. As he eagerly helped her mix cookie dough in their kitchen, she broached the subject gently, trying not to alarm him. "Alex, sweetheart, I noticed yesterday that your parents weren't home when you went back. Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. Alex's cheerful demeanor faltered for a moment, his eyes flickering with uncertainty. Yeah, they're probably just working late again. They do that a lot," he mumbled, avoiding her gaze. Aaron couldn't shake off the feeling that Alex was hiding something, but she didn't want to press him further. Instead, she decided to keep a closer eye on him, hoping to unravel the mystery surrounding his family. As the days went by, Aaron noticed subtle changes in Alex's behavior. He became more withdrawn, his smiles less frequent, as if a heavy burden weighed upon his young shoulders. It was as if he was carrying a secret too big for him to bear alone. Determined to uncover the truth, Aaron confided in John about her suspicions. Together, they decided to keep a discreet watch over their young neighbor, ready to intervene if things took a turn for the worse. But little did they know that their quiet suburban neighborhood was about to be thrust into the midst of a chilling ordeal they could never have imagined. The Thomases had no idea what was going on behind the closed doors of their next-door neighbors. They were completely wrong in assuming that everything was fine. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and darkness draped over the neighborhood like a heavy cloak, Erin peered out of her kitchen window, her gaze fixated on Alex's house. She noticed an unfamiliar car parked in the driveway, its dark silhouette casting an ominous shadow against the dimly lit street. A sense of foreboding washed over her as she watched two figures emerge from the car and approach the front door of Alex's house. They knocked with a sense of urgency, their voices muffled by the thick veil of night. Erin's heart pounded in her chest as she witnessed the scene unfold before her eyes. Instinctively, she reached for her phone, ready to dial the authorities at the slightest sign of trouble. But before she could take action, a chilling realization dawned upon her. The two figures at Alex's door were not ordinary visitors, they were police officers. Panic surged through Erin's veins as she struggled to make sense of the situation. What could the police want with Alex and his family? Unable to contain her fear any longer, Erin darted across the street, her feet pounding against the pavement as she rushed to Alex's aid. John followed closely behind, his expression etched with concern. As they reached Alex's doorstep, their worst fears were confirmed. The police officers turned towards them, their expressions grave as they delivered the shocking news Alex's parents had been arrested. Erin and John watched in horror as the police led the couple away in handcuffs. Alex was standing by the door, tears streaming down his face. What had just happened? Erin and John lived in a very quiet and fairly safe neighborhood. Everyone knew each other and they often engaged in frequent chats with each other over their garden walls. However, the house right next to Erin and John stood empty for months, and they wondered if anyone was going to eventually move in. Then, one morning as Erin was making breakfast, she happened to look out and see a big moving truck next door. "John, we have new neighbors," she called out in excitement. And true to form, within a few days, new neighbors had finally moved in. Erin and John were very eager and excited to meet them and wondered what they were like. Erin was famous for her baked goods in the neighborhood, and she quickly whipped up a batch of oatmeal and cinnamon cookies to welcome the new additions to the quiet neighborhood. The Thomases walked up to the door and knocked, but there was no answer. Erin was so sure that she had just seen someone standing on the porch a few minutes ago. They knocked once more and eventually heard footsteps approaching the door. When the door opened, Erin and Thomas were greeted by a woman and her husband. "Hi, can we help you?" the woman asked. Erin put on her biggest and brightest smile. She loved meeting new people and wanted to be on good terms with the arrivals. "Hi there, I'm Erin, and this is my husband, John. We live right next door. We just wanted to welcome you guys to the neighborhood. I baked some cookies." The couple gave a friendly smile and introduced themselves as Nancy and Dave Rucker. They didn't invite Erin and John inside instead. They chose to have a conversation with them on the porch. "This is a nice, quiet neighborhood. Does anything ever happen here?" Nancy asked with a chuckle. They were eating cookies when a boy came out and brought some coffee. Erin and John were surprised to see the boy at first. Nancy and Dave didn't mention that they had any children. "Oh, this is our son, Alex." Erin noticed the boy's sullen look. "Hey, Alex. I'm Erin, and this is my husband, John. We live next door to you. Thank you for the coffee, but why don't you come and have some of these cookies that I made for you and your parents? It's to welcome you to the neighborhood." But then Nancy interjected. "Alex can't stay. He has a lot of homework to do, don't you, boy?" Alex solemnly nodded and walked away. Erin looked at John. She thought it was a very strange encounter, so she decided to say something. "Don't worry, Alex, you can come by any time, and I'll have some cookies for you." Alex mustered a shy smile. It was then that Alex started coming to visit the Thomases on a regular basis. He was a sweet boy and very helpful. He always wanted to do some chores, even when John called him to play video games. It was like he wasn't used to certain things. like not having played video games before or not being allowed to eat certain foods. There was just something strange about his behavior. Aaron had never seen a boy act that way before. It was like he was afraid of doing certain things. Aaron couldn't shake off the feeling of unease that lingered whenever Alex was around. Despite his polite demeanor and eagerness to help, there was a palpable tension in the air whenever he stepped foot inside their home. As days turned into weeks, Aaron noticed subtle signs of distress in Alex's behavior. He flinched at sudden movements, his eyes darting around nervously as if expecting trouble at any moment. One afternoon, while playing in their backyard, Aaron noticed Alex wince at the sound of a car backfiring in the distance. His hands trembled as he struggled to maintain his composure, his eyes betraying a deep-seated fear that sent chills down Aaron's spine. Concerned, Aaron gently approached him, kneeling down to his eye level. "Alex, sweetheart, are you okay? You seem a bit on edge," she asked, her voice laced with genuine concern. Alex's forced smile faltered, his facade crumbling as tears welled up in his eyes. I'm fine, Aaron. Just a little jumpy. That's all he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. Aaron's heart ached at the sight of the young boy's distress, his pain mirroring her own growing unease. Something wasn't right, and she was determined to uncover the truth no matter the cost. Despite Alex's attempts to brush off his anxiety, Aaron couldn't shake the feeling that he was hiding something deeper. She made a mental note to keep a closer eye on him, determined to uncover the source of his distress. Alex's behavior was not normal for a 10-year-old. As days passed, Aaron's suspicions only grew stronger. She noticed bruises peeking out from beneath Alex's long sleeves, evidence of something far more sinister lurking beneath the surface. But one night she heard something truly disturbing. That night, Aaron couldn't fall asleep. She kept thinking about Alex and his strange parents. Her husband had been snoring for hours beside her, but she couldn't seem to sleep. Part of her wanted to get up and knock on their door, just to ask his parents what on earth was going on. But it was 2 a.m., and she knew that it was best to go to bed. She sighed and turned on her side, desperate to get some sleep. Her mind was confused by 1,000 thoughts a second, but she had no idea that something terrible was about to happen. Aaron knew that she wouldn't be able to fall asleep if she kept thinking about Alex and the dark cloud that seemed to follow him wherever he went. So she decided to think about other things, and eventually it seemed to work. Before long, she could feel herself become sleepier by the minute. She had just about forgotten about the boy when she finally began to drift off. But at that very moment she heard a sound she would never forget. A loud bang echoed through their neighborhood, which instantly sent Aaron shooting up in their bed. Her eyes were wide as she looked around frantically. The bang was so loud that John had awoken from his deep slumber. He turned to his terrified wife, a look of worry painted across both their faces. "Did you hear that?" "What was that sound?" John asked, his eyes wide with confusion. But they were about to make a terrible discovery. "Yeah, I heard it," Aaron said, and quickly slipped out from under the covers. She arose from their bed, heading straight for their bedroom window. From where she stood, she could see their neighborhood perfectly. She glanced into the far left corner, but nothing seemed out of place. Her eyes slowly dragged across the dark houses surrounding them until they eventually landed on Nancy and Dave Rucker's house. That's when she saw it. Aaron's stomach dropped when she glanced at their front porch and spotted Alex outside, sitting on the front porch steps all by himself. What was a little boy doing out all by himself at 2 a.m? Aaron was about to tell her husband when she heard another loud bang. This time she watched as Alex jumped, covering his ears with his hands. The sounds were coming from his house. Aaron's heart began to race as she turned to face her husband. "Honey, I think the sounds are coming from Nancy and Dave's house." "Alex is outside," she said. John quickly stepped out of their bed and pulled a shirt over his head. They both knew they couldn't leave the little boy out there alone. Aaron was desperate to see what was going on. Something about their little family just creeped her out, and she wanted to get to the bottom of it. The couple quickly rushed downstairs and out of the front door. As soon as Aaron stepped outside, she looked toward their house. Alex was still sitting on the front porch of their house, his knees raised to his chest as he shivered from the terrible cold. How did he get there? Did his parents kick him out, or did he leave in an attempt to escape the loud noises? They quickly headed over. The closer they got to Alex, the louder the sounds became. Alex's parents were definitely up to something behind those four walls. But that wasn't Erin's main focus. She wanted to protect Alex. When the little boy saw them approaching, he quickly arose from his seat and ran toward them. "Can I please come to your house?" he begged with tears in his eyes. How was Erin supposed to say no? Someone had to look out for the kid. She took his hand, nodding gently as the terrible sounds continued to echo through the street around them. What were they doing? Erin wanted to knock on their door, but John advised her against it. You never know what they're up to. It could be dangerous, he warned. Erin knew he was right, which was why she decided to go back to their house with Alex. She would ask him what was going on. Erin sat next to Alex while John prepared 3 cups of tea, wanting to heat them all up from the cold weather outside. "Alex, honey," Erin began, wanting desperately to know what those awful sounds were. "What are those terrible sounds coming from your house?" She waited for a response, but as soon as she asked those words, the boy froze in his seat, staring at the counter in silence. Erin watched as he nervously played with his finger, wondering if he could tell his neighbor the truth about what his parents were up to. Erin waited for a few minutes before she realized that he wasn't going to tell them the truth that easily. What was he trying to hide? "You know, we are here for you. You can tell us anything. We won't be mad," she told him, but he still seemed uncertain. John placed the cups of tea in front of them and sat on the opposite side of the table, observing the way the boy tried to make himself look small. "You know, we heard those terrible sounds. We just want to make sure your mom and dad are okay," John explained. That was when Alex showed some kind of progress. He looked up at John with hopeful eyes. "I guess I can tell you." The little boy stammered over his words as he tried to tell Erin and John the truth. "I woke up to my mom yelling and—" But he was cut off by the sound of harsh knocks on their front door. Erin quickly got up. "I'll be right back," she said. She wondered who on earth would come knocking at 2 a.m., but when she opened the door, she was met by Alex's parents. "Where is our son?" his mother yelled, her face red with anger. "I know you took him." She was beyond angry. Erin had to calm her down. "It's okay, we just brought him in." He was freezing from the cold, she tried to explain, but the furious woman wouldn't have it. "Alex, you come out here right now," she yelled into their home. A second later, Alex came running out. What was going on? Erin tried to stop his mother from leaving with him, but before she could, she said something. "We are busy with house renovations. You can't just take our kid." Erin was confused as she watched them walk back to their home. Who does house renovations in the middle of the night? She mumbled to herself. That night, Erin tried to forget about what she had heard, and eventually she got some sleep. But she was still freaked out. Each day, Erin would hear the knock on the door, and she would know that it was Alex. He seemed very lonely, and she wondered if he had any friends his own age. She noticed that as soon as he would get off the school bus, he would drop his school bag at home and come straight to them. Sometimes he was content with doing his homework at their place as well. He would just sit quietly on the floor. Erin always made him something to eat, which he wolfed down. By the time John came home from work, Alex had already helped Erin by making dinner. He was incredibly efficient in the kitchen. He knew exactly how to chop onions and sauté them. It was a good skill for a 10-year-old boy to have. "Where did you learn to do that?" Erin asked him. He looked down and replied, "I taught myself. Sometimes my parents would arrive home very late, and I would have to cook dinner." Erin's heart sank at Alex's words, her mind racing with concern. It wasn't normal for a young child to take on such responsibilities, especially cooking dinner for himself and his parents. She exchanged a worried glance with John, silently communicating her growing unease. What was really going on next door? As dinner progressed, Erin gently probed Alex with questions, trying to piece together the puzzle of his family life without prying too much. She learned that Alex's parents often worked late hours, leaving him alone at home for extended periods. But there was something in his tone, a hint of sadness and resignation, that sent shivers down her spine. Later that evening, after Alex had bid them good night and returned home, Erin and John sat in solemn silence, grappling with the weight of their young neighbor's burdens. They couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister lurked behind the facade of their seemingly normal suburban neighborhood. Nancy and Dave seemed nice, but were they hiding something? Why was Alex constantly alone to the point where he practically lived with Erin and John? Unable to ignore their growing suspicions any longer, Erin and John made a pact to keep a closer eye on Alex and his family, determined to uncover the truth and help in any way they could. Little did they know that their quest for answers would lead them down a dark and dangerous path they never could have imagined. As the days turned into weeks, Erin and John found themselves consumed by their investigation, piecing together clues and unraveling the tangled web of secrets hidden within their once peaceful neighborhood. But the deeper they delved, the more they realized just how dangerous the truth could be, and they soon found themselves entangled in a deadly game of cat and mouse with forces far beyond their control. With each revelation, Erin and John grew increasingly desperate to protect Alex from the horrors lurking in the shadows, but their efforts only seemed to draw them closer to the heart of darkness. And as they raced against time to uncover the truth, they soon realized that their own lives were on the line, and that the sinister forces threatening their young neighbor were far more terrifying than they could have ever imagined. Despite their best efforts, Erin and John struggled to find concrete evidence of what was truly happening within the walls of Alex's home. The more they observed, the more they became convinced that Alex was living in fear, but without proof, they were powerless to intervene. One evening, as Erin was preparing dinner, a frantic knock echoed through their front door. Startled, she rushed to answer it, her heart pounding in her chest. To her shock, she found Alex standing on their doorstep, tears streaming down his face. "Erin, John, please help me," he pleaded, his voice trembling with fear. I can't go back there. They're not who they seem." Erin's blood ran cold as she listened to Alex's panicked words. Without hesitation, she pulled him into the safety of their home, wrapping him in a comforting embrace as she tried to calm his trembling form. "Shaish." "It's okay, Alex. You're safe here," she murmured, her voice filled with reassurance. But deep down, she knew that their troubles were far from over. As Alex recounted his harrowing ordeal, Erin and John listened in horror, their worst fears confirmed. It seemed that Alex's parents were not the loving caregivers they appeared to be, but rather cruel and abusive individuals who had subjected their son to unspeakable horrors. Determined to protect Alex from further harm, Erin and John knew that they had to take action. With trembling hands, Erin dialed the authorities, her voice steady as she reported the abuse unfolding next door. Within moments, police officers arrived at their doorstep, ready to intervene and rescue Alex from his living nightmare. As they led him away to safety, Erin and John watched with heavy hearts, knowing that their brave young neighbor had finally found the sanctuary he so desperately deserved. But that's when Alex broke free from the police officers and ran straight to Erin and John. "Please don't let them take me away. I want to stay with you." Erin's heart shattered at Alex's desperate plea, her eyes brimming with tears as she realized the depth of his fear and the trauma he had endured. Without hesitation, she pulled him into a tight embrace, her arms offering solace and protection. "Alex, sweetheart, you don't have to be afraid anymore. We'll keep you safe," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. John's gaze softened as he knelt beside them, his hand resting gently on Alex's shoulder. "We won't let anyone hurt you ever again," he vowed, his voice filled with unwavering determination. Together, Erin and John made a silent promise to stand by Alex's side, no matter what challenges lay ahead. They knew that rebuilding his trust and helping him heal would be a long and difficult journey, but they were determined to do whatever it took to give him the love and support he deserved. Alex was clearly traumatized, and he needed all the help that he could possibly get at this point. Aaron and John vowed to stay by his side no matter what. In the days that followed, Aaron and John devoted themselves wholeheartedly to helping Alex heal from the trauma he had endured. They enrolled him in therapy, ensuring that he received the professional support he needed to navigate the complexities of his emotions. As Alex slowly began to open up about his experiences, Aaron and John listened with compassion, offering words of comfort and encouragement. They made sure he knew that he was not alone, that they were there for him every step of the way. Despite the challenges they faced, Aaron and John were determined to create a safe and nurturing environment for Alex, a home where he could finally find peace and belonging. Meanwhile, Nancy and Dave Rucker faced the consequences of their actions as they were held accountable for their crimes. The truth about their abusive behavior sent shockwaves through the neighborhood, leaving residents reeling with disbelief. Aaron and John's bravery in coming forward with the evidence they had gathered played a crucial role in ensuring that justice was served. Although the ordeal had taken its toll on them, they knew that they had done the right thing. But even as justice was served, the scars of the past lingered, reminding Aaron and John of the fragility of life and the importance of standing up for those in need. With time, Alex began to heal, his laughter returning like a ray of sunshine after a storm. With Aaron and John's unwavering support, he blossomed into a confident and resilient young boy, eager to embrace the promise of a brighter future. Together, they forged a new family, one built on love, trust, and unwavering commitment to each other. As they looked towards the horizon, they knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but they also knew that they would face it together, united as a family. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Aaron, John, and Alex worked tirelessly to rebuild trust and create a sense of normalcy in their lives. Together, they embarked on new adventures, making cherished memories along the way. Aaron and John made sure to create a structured routine for Alex, filled with love, laughter, and plenty of opportunities for him to explore his interests. They encouraged him to pursue his passions and supported him every step of the way. With each passing day, Alex's confidence grew, his once haunted eyes now sparkling with hope and joy. He no longer flinched at sudden noises or cowered in fear, but stood tall and proud, a testament to his incredible resilience. The Thomases were overwhelmed by the outpouring of support they received from their neighbors and friends. The community rallied around them, offering words of encouragement and lending a helping hand whenever needed. Through their kindness and compassion, Aaron and John's neighbors proved that even in the darkest of times, there is always light to be found. Together they formed a tight-knit community bound by friendship, love, and a shared commitment to look out for one another. Despite the challenges they had faced, Aaron and John knew that they were stronger together. They refused to let the past define them, choosing instead to focus on the future and the endless possibilities it held. Together they dreamed of a life filled with love, laughter, and endless adventures. They made plans for the future, knowing that as long as they had each other, they could overcome any obstacle that came their way. As Alex settled into his new life with Aaron and John, he began to blossom in ways they had never imagined possible. He discovered a love for art and music, pouring his heart and soul into his creative pursuits. With Aaron and John's unwavering support, Alex pursued his passions with gusto, embracing every opportunity to learn and grow. He dreamed of a future filled with endless possibilities, where he could be anything he wanted to be. Through the healing power of love and unconditional support, Aaron, John, and Alex forged a bond that was unbreakable. They learned that family wasn't just about blood ties, but about the connections we forge with those who love us unconditionally. Together they weathered the storms of life, emerging stronger and more resilient than ever before. They knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, united as a family. As Aaron looked around at the life they had built together, her heart swelled with gratitude. She was thankful for the love of her husband John and the joy that Alex had brought into their lives. She knew that their journey had been filled with challenges, but she also knew that every obstacle they had overcome had only made them stronger. And as she watched Alex laugh and play in the backyard, she knew that they had found true happiness in each other's arms. With the sun setting on another beautiful day, Aaron, John, and Alex stood hand in hand, ready to face whatever the future held. They knew that life would always be filled with ups and downs, but as long as they had each other, they could weather any storm that came their way. Together, they stepped forward into the unknown, hearts full of hope and anticipation for the adventures that lay ahead. And as they walked into the sunset, they knew that their journey was just beginning, a journey filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. As they embraced the beauty of the present moment and looked towards the horizon, Aaron, John, and Alex knew that they were embarking on a new chapter of their lives, a chapter filled with love, laughter, and boundless opportunities. And as they stood together, united as a family, they felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought them to this moment. They knew that the road ahead would not always be easy, but they also knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome any obstacle that came their way. With hearts full of hope and determination, they stepped forward into the unknown, ready to embrace whatever the future held. For in each other's arms they had found the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that their love would light the way.